So one of the most frequently asked questions on the gaming laptop subreddit is, should I buy now or wait? And of course, this is the never-ending question, because if you just keep waiting for the next thing to come around, then you'll just never end up buying a new laptop. Or if you always buy now, then you might save some money, but you might feel like you're falling behind the next generation of laptops when they come out. So there's never a clear-cut, solid answer to this question, but what you can do is educate yourself on what options there are currently and use some educated guesswork on the next generation to be better informed so that you can make a decision that works better for you. And that's what I'm here to help with today, is present some options and some ideas to consider before you take that plunge and buy your next gaming laptop. But maybe before you buy that next gaming laptop, you think to yourself, I need a new desk to game on with this new laptop. Well, that's where FlexiSpot comes in, who sponsored this video. The FlexiSpot E6 standing desk is amazing, to put it simply, okay? It can lift up to 355 pounds and comes with a 15-year warranty on the desk frame and motor, and 2 years for the control panel and electronics. I've had people comment on the last time they sponsored a video telling me how much they enjoy theirs, so that was cool to hear. The one I have here is the white bamboo top, and it just looks gorgeous with a white laptop like the Zephyrus G16 here. And the controls are easy to use too, with memory buttons you can set, and of course the easy ones here that, show someone standing and sitting, just in case you forgot. Also, I like that you can customize your preferred color and size for the desktop and frame too. FlexiSpot literally has dozens of options to choose from in that regard. I also love the wheels personally. Like, they're optional to put on there, but those have been a lifesaver for moving this thing around for me, and you can choose to lock them in place too. And of course, I gotta have my throne here too, right? The OC6 ergonomic chair from FlexiSpot is like the perfect companion for this desk. Everyone I've had over who sat on this thing has brought up how comfy it is. It's got a thick mesh fabric, and they say it's supportive even 10 years after prolonged sitting, and they back it up with a 10-year warranty. It's got lumbar support, tons of adjustments with the armrest and reclining of the chair, 500-pound weight limit. It's basically a budget alternative to the Steelcase gesture chair, but of course at a much lower price. Personally, I love how breathable it is, and I think you'll love it too. Go check them out on Amazon using the links in my description. Anyways, let's get back to the video. So let's first look at some of our current options for 2024 and see what we got. I'm just going to briefly talk about some of my favorites from this year and also some of the more budget-friendly options as well. So in 2024, we didn't actually get a ton of new options with cool improvements. I'd say the ones who were the most outgoing this year was probably Asus with the new Zephyrus laptops. Personally, those were my favorite for 2024, the G14 and the G16. They had a lot of cool new features like a full CNC aluminum build, amazing speakers, OLED display, stuff you don't typically see in a gaming laptop. So I thought that was really cool to see for 2024. A lot of other laptops just got a simple spec bump, and that's okay because not much really changed anyway this year. So you had laptops like the Lenovo Legion Pro 7, Pro 5, Legion 5i, HP Omen, most of the MSI laptops or Acer laptops. A lot of them just got simple spec bumps, just swapping out whatever the CPU or GPU was for whatever the newest was. And there weren't really many new contenders to the space other than like a couple 14 inches like the new Tough 14 from Asus and the Omen Transcend 14 from HP. But overall, 2024 was not a super exciting year for laptops. Other than a couple CPU upgrades, like the Intel Core Ultra chips were much more efficient with better battery life than what we've typically seen from Intel in the past. So that was cool to see. And then a really big move from AMD with the new Ryzen AI 9 chips, which have more cores than we're used to seeing from AMD and, even more efficiency than we're used to seeing from AMD. So competition is great on the efficiency front in 2024, whereas a lot of the thicker laptops kind of stuck to what they already had, which were the Intel Raptor Lake HX chips. There's actually no difference between the 13th gen and 14th gen other than a slight boost in clock speed there. So that's why you saw some of those thicker laptops really not get much love in 2024. Plus, we also didn't even have a GPU change. Usually you get a TI in those in-between years or something where it's like slightly more powerful, but we didn't have that in 2024. So that's kind of what we've been working with. Now let's talk about what we know so far about 2025. So there's been a few leaks out there, and from pretty reliable sources, stuff that has been right in the past regarding like when 2024 laptops were coming out. So what we know so far is we can expect, again, a few high-end GPU configurations that, of course, may push the boundaries of what laptops can achieve. That's the good news here. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we'll see a 25% increase in performance from 4080 to 5080 or 4090 to 5090 and so forth. And there might even be like a 4080 Ti in there or a 5070 Ti. It looks like in the leaked spec sheets that there's like an in-between GPU now, which would be kind of crazy because them adding the 4090 in the first place was already like kind of weird when the 40 series first launched, and now to have another GPU option in the mix is, I don't know, maybe they're just trying to make more money. I don't know, we'll see.
Here comes the money.
Here we go, money talk.
Here
The sad news is that it looks like everything's going to have the same amount of VRAM as it did in 2024. So 12 gigabytes for the 5080, 16 gigabytes for the 5090, 8 gigabytes for the 5070 and 5060, and they might do like a 10 or 12 for a 5070 Ti. We'll have to see with that one. I would love to be proven wrong here, and don't blame me if I do end up being wrong, but it's looking like these new budget tier and mid-tier options are still going to be VRAM limited, which is just a shame. There's also another leak that a lot of new laptops are going to be paired with 2024 CPUs. Hopefully that's just on the budget sector. I would love to see the mid-tier laptops not do that because, again, you know, there's new CPUs available. The Ryzen AI 9 chips are awesome. Even if those don't get a refresh, I think those are fine to pair with, but I would love to see some Core Ultra 2 from Intel and some new HX chips that can help push the boundaries even more, maybe with like a slightly better focus on efficiency, because that's been a problem with laptops like the Razer Blade and Legion Pro 7 is that their battery life just kind of sucks. So I would love to see some focus there on more balance in that aspect. But there is one thing that could actually push these budget to mid-tier GPUs to a new level, and we might actually see some pretty big gains in that 5050, 5060, 5070 department. But to get there, I need to explain Nvidia's voltage limit and why that was such a huge limiting factor in 2024. So for those of you who don't know, there was a voltage limit that laptops with the 4050, 4060, or 4070 GPUs would hit that would kick in at around 100 watts. What this did is it severely limited all performance gains that were possible beyond that level of wattage. So to put that in perspective, like wattage mattered quite a bit with mid-tier GPUs in the 30 series laptops. A lot of people based their entire purchase decision off of a laptop having more wattage than another one, but Nvidia really threw a wrench into the mix in 2024.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Because now with most laptops, even thinner ones, being able to hit 100 watts, it really didn't matter which one you bought, you know, whether it was like a thick, heavy Alienware M18, or if you bought like the thinnest gaming laptop ever, the Zephyrus G16 or G14. Any of those laptops would hit about the same FPS in games. And I even have proof of this myself from comparing the G16 to the Legion 7i, which you can find the video for on my channel. The saddest part about this is no one was really told about it. Like, some review channels have pointed this out, but a lot of consumers still have no idea. So they just go off whatever the thickest, heaviest gaming laptop they can find for wattage purposes, and then come out to find that in most games, especially at QHD when things rely on the GPU heavily, it performs about the same as like this tiny little 14-inch laptop over here. While that tiny 14-inch laptop is also getting double the battery life, better display, better speakers, and just looks much sleeker. And you can see the wattage drop off here in this graph, which measures the graphics performance based on wattage. The 4080 and 4090 are not affected by this, but this is something to strongly consider for those of you thinking about a mid-range laptop. Now, in some ways it feels scummy. It feels like a scam. Like, if I paid for 140 watts, I should get 140 watts, right? Well, I wish I had the answer for you, but I might have good news. See, the big question is, will Nvidia still do this next year on the 5060 and 5070? Will those also not be able to scale beyond 100 watts? Well, put on your tinfoil hats because I got a conspiracy theory, all right? I think Nvidia is going to remove that voltage limit, and here's why I think that. Because money. There's still only 8 gigabytes of VRAM, so they're already saving money there by not providing customers any more VRAM, but they have to show some kind of improvement, right? If they want to sell any of these things. So I think Nvidia is going to simply lift that voltage limit just so they can show on their marketing materials and their graphs like, hey guys, look, the 5070 performs 30% better than the 4070. When in reality, it's not that much better. It's just actually using the wattage it was given. Again, this is pure speculation, but from a business standpoint, I would not be surprised one bit if that ended up being the case. With 40 series, they used frame generation to inflate their benchmark numbers and look good on graphs, and now they don't have another gimmick like that, so this might be their way out. So now on the CPU side of things for 2025, I think this is where I actually am a little more excited. From what we've seen from CPU launches so far, like the new AMD Ryzen AI 9 HX chips are outstanding for laptops, for gaming laptops especially. Even if we just reuse that same CPU with like a slight refresh in 2025, I would still be just as happy. Like, that is the best balance of power and efficiency out there right now, because you can get great battery life and great performance with more cores than we've seen previously from AMD, and lower temps compared to a lot of the competition. The only problem in 2024 is it's only on a few laptops and it's not paired with a 4080 or 4090. People are saying that the bandwidth of the CPU wouldn't even allow for anything higher than a mid-tier GPU on these, which is a huge bummer if that's true. So I'm hoping to see at least a slight refresh in 2025 for AMD to allow this to be paired with some of those higher tier GPUs, because that could potentially actually be an unstoppable combo. And on the Intel side, a lot of desktop users were very disappointed by these new Intel chips, but as a laptop user, I'm kind of excited. Like, Intel's focus with the Intel Core Ultra 2 CPUs has been all about efficiency, so getting the same performance at less wattage at lower temperatures. That is everything for a laptop. So if that means something similar to an AMD Ryzen AI 9 CPU, then I'm all for it. Like, the Intel Core Ultra 1s were already a huge step in the right direction for Intel, and it gave us laptops like the Zephyrus G16, which could be paired with a 4080 or 4090 while still being super thin and having good battery life. So yeah, overall for CPUs, I'm excited, and I think we'll see good improvements across the board for battery life, temperatures, efficiency, and like maybe not peak performance, like that might stay roughly the same as the past couple years. But for those of you who don't have your laptop plugged in 24/7, or you don't have it on a cooling pad and you just want to use it as a laptop, this could be exciting for you. So these new specs sound great and all, but like, what will manufacturers actually do? That is the ultimate question right there. And I can't tell you the for sure answer, but based on years past and like my own personal hopes for the future, I feel like I can give a good guess at this. But this topic I'm going to save for my next video, because I actually want to take a deeper dive into what would make the actual perfect laptop for 2025. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that one, because I think it's going to be a good one. Okay, so let's look at the pitch for buying some certain laptops now instead of in the future, right? So the first one I'm going to talk about is the pitch for buying 2024 laptops. Obviously, first things first is money saved, right? 40 series laptops are on sale now a lot, heavily discounted. You can find some used, and there's always that chance that they might perform pretty similar to the next generation. You're kind of banking on Nvidia not having a huge percentage increase in FPS from stuff, so maybe it's only like a 10 or 15% bump in FPS. So, if that was the case, then yeah, you saved a lot of time and money and frustration if you went with a 40 series laptop. Plus, you could also get a 4080 or 4090 for the price of a new 5070 when those come out. Like, for example, the open box G16 here with a 4080 is going for just a little over 2,000, or the Legion 7i, which frequently goes on sale for around that 2,000 mark as well. Those are probably going to have more performance than the new 5070s will. Like, just looking at years past, that's probably still going to be the case. Plus more VRAM, and there's used options out there that could be found even cheaper. A couple other pros of buying a 2024 laptop is, the drivers are more matured for the CPUs and GPUs, so you're less of a guinea pig when it comes to driver updates and things breaking. And then some of the laptops that were released this year are just really good laptops regardless of performance. Like, again, I'm going to vouch for the Zephyrus G14 and G16. Like, those are really nice laptops, even outside of just gaming on. So those are some strong considerations right there if you don't want to be on the cutting edge. And while we're at it, let's take a look at 2023 laptops, see how those are doing, because honestly, they're the same GPUs and CPUs that almost all the 2024 laptops have. Apart from the Core Ultra and the Ryzen AI 9, the HX CPUs that we've seen on a ton of Intel laptops are the same. It's the same Meteor Lake chip, just with a slight boost in clock speed from 13700HX to 14700HX, or i9 13900HX to i9 14900HX. Like, they're the same CPU, okay? And those are going for even cheaper than the 2024 laptops. Like, you could find those on clearance or open box or just used on the marketplace, even cheaper, while offering the same performance. Like the Razer Blade 16 here, like that had the 13980HX. It's like the same as the 14900HX, even with the boosted clock speed. Like, that one already had the boosted clock speed, but it's a lot cheaper than the 2024 model. You see what I'm saying? Like, some of which are even better than their 2024 counterparts. Like, think about the Zephyrus M16 compared to the G16. The M16 actually had more wattage on the GPU. Then you have laptops like the Flow X16 from Asus that didn't get a refresh in 2024, and those are still awesome laptops with like touchscreen, swappable RAM, stuff like that. Alienware M16 is arguably better than the M16 R2, since it had 4080, 4090 options. And then some people might say the same about like the Zephyrus G14, how it had more wattage and a higher tier GPU in the 2023 model as well compared to the 2024. Now, the challenge, however, is finding some of these. So a lot of them are being actively discontinued as we speak. So you might be forced to buying one used, but I mean, again, a lot of used ones are great, and a lot of people out there selling used have like a warranty extension or stuff like that. So, just things to look out for. But why stop there? You probably didn't expect this, right?
I never expected it.
But I would argue that 2022 laptops are honestly still great even in today's market, and here's why. So think about it. A 3080 Ti or even a 3070 Ti still rocks a 4050. Like, both of those GPUs still will absolutely put the work on a 4050, and with more VRAM too. Like, just look at the wattage graph here, especially when they're fed more wattage. If we're considering at like their peak wattage, the 3070 Ti is not far behind the 4070 at all. I mean, we're talking maybe 5 to 10%. Same with the 3060 did get a VRAM upgrade, but hey, a 3080 will still perform about the same as a 4070 or a little better, but a 3080 Ti will still perform just as good, if not better, than a 4070. And again, with more VRAM. So the 30 series had no voltage limit, so the wattage allowed was really helpful. A lot of really cool laptops were introduced in 2022 as well, like some of which are very relevant today or might even be considered better than some of the options you'd find today. You know, for example, the Flow X16 with the AMD chip came out in 2022, and that thing was awesome. The Legion Pro 7i in 2022 was like the best that laptop has ever been, in my opinion. Like, that was the nicest chassis with that laptop. It looked amazing. It performed amazing. Like, to date, that's probably my favorite Legion ever. Now, the challenge is you really can't find a new one of these anywhere. So you would have to buy it used, but with them being 2 years old, the prices are going to be much lower. So, you know, let's just take a look here on eBay real quick. So yeah, I mean, you have to look out for deals other than a few of these people, like obviously trying to sell their laptops for way more than they're worth. You can totally find 3080 Ti laptops, 3070 Ti laptops for around $1,000 or less. Like, the most I'm seeing 3080 Ti laptops for, like, reasonably is like 12 to 1300, which, you know, comparatively, like, you have 4070 laptops selling for over 2,000. So, I mean, you know, you could potentially get a 3070 Ti or a 3080 Ti for the price of like a 4050 or 4060 laptop, or even like, you know, when the 5050 or 5060 comes out. So just something to think about. Now, how about the pitch for buying 2021 laptops? That's pretty unexpected, right? But hear me out, because a lot of the same reasons to save money on a 40 series laptop now, you might find yourself better off buying even a 2021 laptop and getting way more bang for your buck. Again, look at this wattage graph. The best 30 series laptops, like 3080, 3070, will still perform better than the best budget options available right now, and at roughly the same price. So think about it. The 30 series is barely a step down from the 30 Ti, and there's still amazing laptops in that category, including two of my favorite game laptops ever, the 2021 Legion 7 and the Zephyrus G15. You got to think about like build quality and stuff like that too. So like, you look at like a 4050 laptop, you're going to get stuff like the Acer Nitro or Lenovo IdeaPad, and those are just nowhere near the quality that you would get out of even a 3-year-old laptop that was on the high end at its time. You know, you could totally get a 3070 or 3080 Legion 7 from that time and get a full metal laptop with, you know, pretty good speakers, a great screen, great fan tuning, glass trackpad, amazing keyboard. Like, you can have all those features if you're willing to take that challenge on the used market instead of buying like a budget option right now. You know, here in America, like, the best sources are usually Facebook Marketplace, eBay, and I've seen some amazing deals on some of these laptops out there. Now, I'm not going to go any further than that because I think the 20 series is where you're probably going to start to see diminishing returns on your investment as far as like resale value and performance over time. But I mean, there were some great 2070 and 2080 laptops as well that I'd still maybe consider a better value than some of like the current 4050 options I've seen. But yeah, I mean, you kind of have to just play the market, look at what's out there, and you got to be willing to wait for an actual good deal to come through. Which brings me to the topic of buying strictly budget laptops. Now, it's no surprise that a lot of today's budget laptops have some nice features that, you know, some of only the premium laptops had a few years ago. Like, there's definitely been steady upgrades over time to the budget sector, but you still need to watch out. I'll probably make another video on this on strictly budget laptops because it can be the Wild West out there when you're shopping in this category. There's a lot of misleading info from manufacturers, and you can easily get burned if you're not like well informed. So make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned for that. But you know, if you happen to skip the previous section of the video, definitely go back and watch that. Because if it were me and I were trying to save a buck on a gaming laptop, I'd probably start with 2021 and 2022 high-end laptops, or like mid-range and above laptops. Because I'd rather take my chances on a used older premium laptop with like a 3080 or 3070 than to buy a brand new 4050 laptop that has pretty bad build quality and might crap out on me in like a year. But I can see arguments for both. It's just me personally, I'd rather pay about the same and get a more premium device, you know, hopefully extend the warranty if that's still an option, get more VRAM, a better display, better keyboard, you know, some of those luxury features, than to like carry around some monstrosity like this. So what am I trying to say here? So there's never a for sure clear-cut answer on exactly when to buy a gaming laptop, and I hope this video at least helped inform you to make a somewhat better decision, or even just gave you some things to consider that maybe you hadn't before. I'd greatly appreciate you leaving a like, comment, subscribe if you found any of this info helpful. But to just quickly recap, 50 series laptops will potentially be more expensive or about the same as when 40 series laptops first came out, which was expensive. We're seeing deals for like $300 off or even up to $1,000 off of some of these 2024 and 2023 laptops now. So yes, you will not get those savings if you go for 2025, but maybe those potential new CPU and GPU specs are enough to entice you to save up some money and go for it. If you're shopping the high end, you might end up being thrilled when you see like that 5090 laptop laptop and how it performs. Or maybe you're just looking forward to the next model refresh of a laptop that you already like, or you've been looking at and you're just waiting for them to add some quality of life features. Or maybe you want to see better budget options than what's currently available. Like, these are all definitely valid reasons to wait. But then on the flip side, if you're leaning more towards saving money, but you still want an awesome laptop, you might find a lot of relief knowing that 2025 laptops may not be exponentially better than their counterparts from the previous year from what we're seeing so far. And you might even find out that you'd get even more bang for your buck buying even like a 2021 or 2022 laptop with a 30 series GPU in it and get roughly the same performance and features that you would get out of any like budget or mid-tier laptop now. And like I mentioned before, some of those might even grant you more features and performance than what you'd currently find in the budget sector if you're willing to go that route and buy used. So that's sort of my take on things. I know this is a different video than what I usually do with reviews, but I wanted to kind of just talk and put some ideas out there and some considerations for people beyond just strictly one laptop's review or a comparison. Although I do highly recommend checking those out if you haven't already. But yeah, leave me a comment. Let me know, what are your thoughts? You know, what are your speculations? Put on your tinfoil hat. Let's come up with some conspiracies in the comments, all right? So anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.